In a small weathered town nestled in the industrial heart of northern England, Emma Williams lived a life of quiet determination. At 28, she carried the weight of her world on her shoulders, a burden that seemed to grow heavier with each passing day. The grey morning light would creep through the thin curtains of her modest terraced house, signalling another day of endless challenges. Her father, Robert, sat in his worn armchair by the window, his hands trembling slightly as he watched Emma move about the kitchen. Once a strong factory worker, he was now a shadow of his former self, battling a relentless illness that had stolen his independence. Emma moved with practiced precision, preparing his morning medications, making sure each pill was taken at the right time, with the right amount of water. The clock ticked mercilessly as Emma prepared a simple breakfast: toast with a thin spread of butter, a boiled egg, and a cup of strong tea. She knew every penny counted. Her job at the local manufacturing plant was demanding, but she never complained. The factory was a lifeless place of metal machines and repetitive tasks, but it was her lifeline. Robert's eyes would fill with tears, of both love and guilt. He remembered the days when he could provide for his daughter, when her dreams of becoming a nurse seemed within reach. Now, those dreams were distant memories, pushed aside by the urgent need to survive. Emma would catch his gaze and offer a warm smile, her way of saying everything would be okay. Her mornings were a carefully choreographed dance of care and survival. Before leaving for work, she would ensure her father was comfortable, preparing his lunch, setting out his afternoon medications, and making sure the house was warm. Her own needs always came last. The nursing uniforms she once dreamed of wearing were replaced by factory overalls, her soft hands now calloused from long hours of work. The walk to the factory was a journey through a town that seemed to be slowly fading. Closed shops, empty factories, and weathered buildings told a story of economic struggle. Emma walked with purpose, her back straight, her spirit unbroken. The other workers respected her. They saw something special in her determination. At the factory, Emma was more than just another worker. She was precise, reliable, and worked harder than anyone else. Her supervisors appreciated her dedication, though they rarely showed it. Each hour was a battle, each paycheck a small victory against the mounting medical bills and daily expenses. Back home, her father would wait. Sometimes he would talk about her mother, who had passed away years ago, leaving Emma as his sole caregiver. "Your mother would be so proud," he would say, his voice weak but filled with love. Emma would sit beside him, holding his hand, finding strength in their connection. Evenings were a delicate balance of care and hope. After preparing dinner, washing dishes, and ensuring her father was settled, Emma would sometimes allow herself a moment of quiet reflection. She would look at an old photograph of herself in a nursing uniform, a dream that seemed both close and impossibly far away. Her life was not about grand gestures or remarkable achievements. It was about love, sacrifice, and the quiet heroism of facing each day with courage. The nursing books she had once studied were now gathering dust, but the knowledge remained in her heart. She knew that one day, somehow, she would find a way to become the nurse she had always dreamed of being. The town around her might have been falling apart, but Emma's spirit remained unbroken. She represented something powerful: the ability to love unconditionally, to persist despite overwhelming challenges, to find hope in the smallest of moments. As night fell and her father drifted to sleep, Emma would sit by the window, looking out at the quiet street. The world seemed both vast and small, full of possibilities and limitations. But in her heart, she held on to a belief that would carry her through the darkest times, that love, persistence, and hope could overcome any obstacle. Her story was not extraordinary in its events, but extraordinary in its spirit, a testament to the strength of the human heart, to the power of love, and to the unbreakable bond between a daughter and her father. The night would settle in, and Emma would prepare for another day, another challenge, another opportunity to prove that true strength is not about grand achievements, but about the quiet, consistent love that keeps families together. The rain drummed against the factory windows, creating a monotonous rhythm that matched the repetitive movements of the workers. Emma Williams moved between machines, her hands steady, her mind focused. She had no idea that this ordinary Wednesday would change everything. Michael Thompson, the factory supervisor, had worked at the plant for over 20 years. He was a quiet man, known for his strict approach and no-nonsense attitude. But something about Emma caught his attention. He watched her carefully, noticing how she worked with precision and care, always going beyond what was expected. During the lunch break, Michael approached Emma's workstation. She looked up, slightly nervous, wondering if she had done something wrong. But Michael's expression was different. There was a softness in his eyes that seemed out of character. "Emma," he said, "can we talk for a moment?" She followed him to a small office at the back of the factory. The room was cluttered with old files and industrial reports. Michael offered her a chair, which seemed unusual given their typical workplace. "Interactions. I've been watching you," he began. "You're different from the other workers. You have something special." Emma shifted uncomfortably, unsure where this conversation was heading. Michael explained that the factory was starting a new education support program. They wanted to invest in dedicated employees, providing opportunities for further training and education. He had been watching Emma for months, impressed by her work ethic and commitment. "We know you wanted to be a nurse," he said softly. "This scholarship could help you achieve that dream." Emma's world stopped. Her hands began to tremble. The dream she had long abandoned suddenly seemed possible again. Tears welled in her eyes, but she fought to keep her composure. Her father's medical bills had always been the biggest obstacle. Every penny she earned went towards his care, leaving no room for personal ambitions. This opportunity felt like a lifeline thrown into a stormy sea. The scholarship was part-time, which meant she could continue working at the factory. It would cover her nursing education fees and provide a small additional monthly support. It wasn't a complete solution, but it was more than she had ever hoped for. That evening, Emma returned home with news that would change their lives. Father Robert listened with tears in his eyes. He had always felt guilty that her dreams had been put on hold because of his health. Now, hope flickered like a small flame between them. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparation. Emma had to arrange her work schedule, find additional support for her father's care, and prepare for evening classes. The local community center offered some support services, and neighbors began to help more. Her first class was terrifying and exciting. She was older than most students, with years of factory work etched into her hands, but her life experiences gave her a unique perspective. The younger students were impressed by her determination. Studying became a delicate balance. She would wake before dawn, prepare her father's breakfast and medications, work a full shift at the factory, attend evening classes, and then return home to care for Robert. Sleep became a luxury, but her spirit remained unbroken. Michael Thompson continued to support her. He would sometimes adjust her work schedule to accommodate her classes, offering quiet encouragement. The factory that had once seemed like a prison now felt like a pathway to her dreams. Her father became her biggest supporter. Despite his illness, he would organize her study materials, make her tea, and offer words of wisdom. Their bond, already strong, grew even deeper through this journey. The scholarship was more than just financial support. It was a recognition of her potential, a belief in her ability to become something more. Emma discovered that dreams don't have an expiration date. They simply wait for the right moment to bloom. As winter approached and her first semester of nursing studies progressed, Emma realized that her life was transforming. The quiet, sacrificing daughter was becoming a woman with a purpose, a future, and a chance to heal not just her father, but potentially countless others. Her story was beginning to change, not through dramatic events, but through the quiet, persistent hope that had always lived within her heart. The next few months became a delicate dance of survival and dreams for Emma Williams. Her days transformed into a carefully choreographed routine that would exhaust most people, but she moved forward with remarkable determination. Mornings began before sunrise. She would prepare her father's breakfast, carefully measuring his medications and ensuring he was comfortable. Robert, despite his limited mobility, became her unexpected study partner. He would organize her textbooks, make her tea, and listen patiently as she practiced medical terms. Her nursing studies were challenging, The textbooks were filled with complex medical language, anatomical diagrams, and intricate healthcare procedures. Emma would study during her factory breaks, scribbling notes on spare pieces of paper, her medical textbook always tucked beside her lunchbox. The local community began to notice her extraordinary journey. Mrs. Peterson, an elderly neighbor, started helping occasionally. She would sit with Robert for an hour or two, allowing Emma some uninterrupted study time. Other neighbors would drop off home-cooked meals, understanding the challenges she faced. At the factory, Michael Thompson continued to support her unique situation. He would sometimes adjust her shifts, ensuring she could attend evening classes. The other workers watched her with a mixture of respect and amazement. Here was a woman fighting against all odds, refusing to let circumstances define her future. Her nursing classes were a world different from the factory floor. Young students looked at her with curiosity, a mature student who brought real-world experience into the classroom. Where they saw complicated medical concepts, Emma saw potential ways to help people like her father. Practical training was particularly challenging. Emma had to balance her hospital rotations with work and caregiving. Some nights she would return home exhausted, her feet aching, her mind spinning with medical terminology. But her father's proud smile made every difficult moment worthwhile. Robert's health became a surprising blessing. His medical conditions became her unofficial case study. She would explain her learning to him, practicing medical procedures, understanding patient care from a deeply personal perspective. Their conversations transformed medical textbooks into living, breathing knowledge. Financial challenges remained constant. Every extra penny went towards her studies and her father's medical needs. She learned to be creative, mending her own clothes, cooking simple meals, finding free study resources online. Her classmates would sometimes help, sharing notes or lending textbooks. The local healthcare community began to take notice of her remarkable journey. Her dedication was unusual, a working-class woman pursuing nursing while caring for an ill parent. Some saw her as an inspiration, others as a curiosity. Emma's approach to learning was unique. She didn't just memorize medical information, she understood it deeply. Her factory work had taught her precision, patience, and the importance of careful attention to detail. These skills translated perfectly into nursing. Her fellow students were initially skeptical. A woman in her late 20s, juggling work, studies, and caregiving seemed impossible, but as months passed, they began to see her true potential. Emma wasn't just studying to pass exams, she was studying to make a real difference. Weekend study sessions became her sanctuary, while other students went out socializing. Emma would be at home surrounded by medical books, her father offering quiet support. Their small living room transformed into a learning space, filled with diagrams, medical journals, and hope. The local library became her second home. Librarians knew her by name, always setting aside medical journals they thought might interest her. They saw her potential long before anyone else did. Her journey wasn't just about becoming a nurse. It was about proving that dreams have no age limit, that determination can overcome any obstacle. Every challenging moment, every exhausting night of study, every difficult hospital rotation was a step towards her ultimate goal. As her first year of nursing studies progressed, Emma realized she was becoming more than just a student. She was becoming a beacon of hope for her father, for her community, and for anyone who believed that it's never too late to chase a dream. The road was long, the challenges significant. But Emma Williams was ready. One careful step at a time, she was transforming her life, proving that true strength comes from love, persistence, and an unbreakable spirit. The winter arrived with a cruelty that seemed personal to Emma Williams. Her father's health, which had been relatively stable, suddenly took a devastating turn. One cold Tuesday morning, Robert collapsed in the kitchen, his breathing shallow and irregular. The ambulance came quickly, but the news was not good. Robert's chronic condition had worsened, requiring extensive medical treatment. Hospital bills began to pile up like a mountain of impossible challenges. Emma's carefully constructed world began to crumble. Her nursing studies suddenly felt impossible. The hospital bills were astronomical, far beyond what her factory wages and part-time scholarship could cover. She looked at her textbooks. Once, a symbol of hope. And now they seemed like cruel reminders of a dream slipping away. Michael Thompson from the factory noticed the change immediately. Emma's usually precise work became distracted. Her eyes were tired, her movements slower. She was fighting a battle that seemed impossible to win. At the hospital, doctors explained Robert's complex medical condition. He needed specialized treatment, expensive medications, and continuous care. Emma listened, her mind racing with calculations. How could she possibly manage? Her nursing classmates watched her struggle. Some offered support, bringing meals, helping with study notes. But financial support was beyond their means. Emma was too proud to ask for direct help, her independence a shield against vulnerability. Nights became a blur of hospital visits, work shifts, and stolen moments of study. She would sit by her father's hospital bed, reviewing medical textbooks, checking his monitors, becoming both daughter and nurse. The line between personal and professional care blurred completely. The local community began to notice her silent struggle. Mrs. Peterson, the elderly neighbor, started a small fundraising effort. Local shopkeepers, factory workers, and community members began contributing what they could. Small amounts started to add up. Emma's nursing school became aware of her situation. The program director, a kind-hearted woman named Margaret Roberts, called her into her office. Instead of criticism, she offered understanding and potential solutions. "We have an emergency support fund," Margaret explained. "It's designed for students facing unexpected challenges. We can help cover part of your expenses." The words felt like a lifeline thrown into a stormy sea. The local healthcare foundation heard about her story. They were looking for real-life examples of dedication and resilience. Emma's journey of caring for her father while pursuing nursing resonated with their mission. A partial scholarship emerged, not enough to solve everything, but enough to provide hope. The foundation would cover her medical textbooks, some tuition, expenses, and provide a small monthly stipend. It wasn't a complete solution, but it was something. Her father, Robert, watched her struggles with a mixture of pride and guilt. "You shouldn't sacrifice everything for me," he would say weakly from his hospital bed. Emma would simply hold his hand, her touch more powerful than any words. The factory where she worked also stepped up. Michael Thompson arranged for additional overtime opportunities, understanding her unique situation. Colleagues began to donate leave days, helping her manage hospital visits and study commitments. Emma's world had reached a breaking point, a moment where everything could either collapse or transform. Her resilience would be tested in ways she never imagined. The dream of becoming a nurse seemed both impossibly distant and critically important. Her nights became a careful calculation of time, energy, and hope. She would study medical journals, beside her father's hospital bed, check his medications, discuss treatment plans with doctors. Her practical nursing knowledge became her greatest asset. The community watched her journey with a mixture of admiration and concern. Here was a woman facing impossible odds, refusing to give up. Her story began to spread, not as a tale of tragedy, but as a testament to human resilience. As winter slowly gave way to the first signs of spring, Emma realized something profound. Breaking points are not about destruction, but about transformation. Her challenges were not stopping her. They were preparing her for something greater. Her father's weak smile, the support of her community, her unwavering determination, these became her strength. The breaking point was not an end, but a beginning of something remarkable. 2 years passed like a transformative journey for Emma Williams. The young woman who once seemed trapped between factory work and family responsibilities now stood proudly in her nursing uniform, her father sitting beside her, tears of pride glistening in his eyes. Graduation day was more than just an academic achievement. It represented a victory against impossible odds. Her classmates looked at her with respect, understanding the extraordinary path she had traveled. Margaret Roberts, the nursing program director, personally congratulated her, calling Emma an inspiration to everyone. Robert's health had improved significantly. The medical treatments, combined with Emma's professional care, had given him a second chance. He had become her biggest supporter, watching her transformation from a factory worker to a qualified nurse with immense pride. The local hospital where she completed her final training offered her a full-time position. It wasn't just a job, it was a dream realized. Emma would be working in the same ward that had once treated her father, bringing compassion and professional expertise to patients who needed it most. Her colleagues quickly recognized her unique skills. Emma wasn't just another new nurse. She brought years of life experience, resilience, and a deep understanding of patient care. Her approach was different, more empathetic, more understanding of the human side of healing. The community that had supported her journey now celebrated her success. Mrs. Peterson, the elderly neighbor who had helped during her most challenging times, attended her graduation. Local shopkeepers, factory workers, and community members came to show their support. Michael Thompson from the factory attended the graduation ceremony, his eyes filled with pride. The man who had initially noticed her potential had become a lifelong supporter. He spoke about her journey, telling everyone how she had transformed her life through determination. Emma's first few months as a nurse were challenging but rewarding. She specialized in geriatric care, inspired by her experiences with her father. Her patients appreciated her gentle approach, her ability to listen, and her genuine care. The local newspaper ran a story about her journey. "From factory floor to healing hands," the headline read. Emma became a symbol of hope for many in the community, proof that education and determination could overcome any obstacle. Her father became her biggest advocate. During her visits home, he would proudly tell visitors about his daughter's achievements. The man who once felt guilty about holding her back now celebrated her success. Financial stability finally arrived. Emma could now support her father comfortably, provide him with better medical care, and even start saving for their future. The endless struggle had transformed into a life of opportunity. The nursing community recognized her unique journey. She was invited to speak at local schools and community centers, sharing her story of resilience. Young students looked at her with hope, understanding that dreams have no age limit. Her relationship with her father deepened. No longer just a caregiver and patient, they became partners in life's journey. Robert's health continued to improve, and he became an active participant in Emma's professional life. The factory where she once worked invited her to speak about personal development. Emma shared her story, showing how education and determination could transform lives. Her previous colleagues listened in amazement, inspired by her journey. Local healthcare foundations began using her story as an example of community support and individual resilience. Emma became more than just a nurse. She became a beacon of hope for others facing similar challenges. Her nursing colleagues respected her, not just for her professional skills, but for her extraordinary journey. She represented something powerful, the ability to transform challenges into opportunities, to turn personal struggles into professional excellence. As summers passed and her career flourished, Emma never forgot the journey. The small terraced house, the factory work, the challenging nights of study, all had been stepping stones to this moment. Her triumph was not just about becoming a nurse. It was about proving that love, determination, and community support could overcome any obstacle. She had transformed her life, not through dramatic moments, but through consistent, quiet persistence. The young girl who once thought her dreams were impossible now walked hospital corridors, healing patients, supporting families, and proving that hope is the most powerful medicine of all. Emma Williams had done more than achieve a personal dream. She had become an inspiration, a testament to the extraordinary potential that lies within ordinary people.